So, the first week of January is over. Today is the 7th of January 2025. I don't know when I'm going to be uploading this, but the first week of the year has thrown me a lot of interesting issues, and I want to speak about them here on the channel. This is a kind of video that I'm going to be uploading to kind of look back on for myself. I don't know if it's going to be as interesting for you guys as it is going to be for me to look back on, but I feel like it's important for me to update you on the latest in my journey. It's important for me to update myself and then be able to look back and reflect and talk about how I felt at the time, and obviously look at that maybe in 6 months, a year, and see how I've grown. So like I say, today is the 7th. If you're watching it on the day, hello. But the first week of January has been crazy. I've already outlined that 2025 is my year, and nothing's going to stop that. I don't care which curveballs get thrown my way, what I didn't expect, it doesn't matter to me. 2025 is my year, and it's going to come with challenges naturally, but I'm willing to accept them, and I'm willing to use them as an opportunity to grow. So straight into the first week of 2025, what have we seen? Well, we'll talk about some of the major challenges which I've seen in this first week. Number one is, I'm going to say it just completely blatantly, I lost my job, right? How do I feel about that? That's fine. It doesn't really worry me at all. To give a little bit more context on this, I'm going to make a full video on it. I was working in a shop from August, September maybe. I'm going to say September up until the 5th. So the 5th was my last day, 5th of January. It was a shop that I worked in under a temporary contract, which I think is a really sneaky way of just hiring Christmas temps. And that's fine if that's what it was marketed as, but I was told personally that they're going to keep you on, or they're very likely to keep you on once the contract ended. But the contract ended, that's fine. I'm not going to complain, is what it is. I knew it was coming from day one. I would have liked to have stayed on, but I didn't, so it is what it is. So first thing, lost my job. How do I feel about that? Not terrible. The real upsetting thing in some ways is just losing some of the great people that I worked with, because there were some pretty interesting people there, some pretty cool people, but beyond that, the money side of things, am I worried about it? Not too much. So in the time that I've been working in this job, and I've said this in full force here on YouTube, I've kind of gone, beast mode in a way, in the sense that I've basically cut out all of my spending. I've been saving 90% of my income. I've been making more money on YouTube. I've been making more money on eBay. I've been making more money on Patreon. All of these sources of income I've been trying to capitalize on to basically have as much in savings as I can. When I started that job, I didn't have enough money to really do anything, right? Fortunately for me, I had my eBay, and I worked out that by the time I quit, I don't want to really say the number out loud on YouTube, but I had a number in my head that I thought I could achieve even if I did not get a job. And that number would have been fine. Now, obviously, due to working a lot harder, I made a lot more on eBay, on YouTube. All of these platforms worked out a bit better for me than I expected. So I made more money online than I would have thought. And I had a goal that I wanted to have in my bank account by the time I quit the job. What I decided to actually do is pay a year's worth of rent in advance, and now I'm only £2,000 below the number I wanted in my bank. So, paid a year's worth of rent. If I didn't pay that up front, I would have had that and more, right? I'd have had way more than that. So the money side of things, am I worried about? No. To be honest, I've got more than enough to live on for the next year, at the very least. And that's accounting for anything that can go wrong. It's accounting for, on a complete conservative scale, thousands of pounds worth of car breakdown, thousands of pounds worth of unexpected costs. I will be fine, right? I'll be fine. So I'm not worried about it from a money perspective. I did knew it was coming anyway, because it was kind of advertised in that way. I feel like the most upsetting thing is the way I was kind of told personally that we want to keep you on, just to receive a message. It wasn't even done face to face. It was a message that you are going to be essentially not extended. That's fine. It is what it is. I think I did the clever thing in August, maybe September, by being clairvoyant enough to realize, okay, well, you may get to keep this job, you may not. If you don't, be prepared. So that's fine. So I prepared for that. I also worked as many days as I could in the first couple of weeks of that job to secure even more money. So money-wise, I think I'm fine. The biggest thing that I want to reflect on from that experience, though, is actually the experience. It's something that I didn't think I would enjoy. And in some ways, it's something that I didn't actually enjoy. In fact, no, in a lot of ways, it's the kind of thing that I didn't actually enjoy. But it's not necessarily all about the enjoyment. Sometimes it's about the experiences, about the opportunities. And I'll speak about that more in a second, but what am I trying to say here? It was an opportunity or perhaps an experience to look into a different world, a different view, a different set of circumstances. Because it's not the kind of thing that I needed to do. Like I say, I would be fine either way. But I think choosing to do something like that definitely puts you outside of your comfort zone. It pushes you into some new challenges. It gives you some new experiences. And we'll talk about that more in a second when we go on to talk about the next steps. But am I glad I did it? Yeah, I am. It gave me a real insight. And it also reminded me how lucky I am to have, I think it is more of like a mindset really, around online business, right? Online business. Because when I was working in this place, right, the pay was not terrible, but it wasn't great. It might have been like 12, maybe £13 an hour, which for a basic entry retail job isn't too bad. But then it was the kind of thing that I would go to work, come home and realise that I've made like 10 times more. It sounds stupid, but it's true. I'd made 10 times, okay, maybe not 10 times more, but I'd made maybe 2, 3, 4 times more selling stuff on eBay. So I always had that in the back of my head, if you know what I'm coming from. I was listening to people saying that they're bragging or happy about working 5-6 days a week and coming out with £1,000 a month. And I was there thinking I can come out with £1,000 a week for working 1 hour a day on eBay. So I don't want to brag. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm saying in terms of the money thing, it also kind of showed me how a lot of peers my age are doing. I feel like this is a big thing, not to kind of pivot the conversation too much, but I'm just trying to share my opinion. When you surround yourself with like-minded people, as you inevitably will, you get an unrealistic standard as to what the world is like. So what I mean by that is I try and be successful in money making, I run businesses, I make as much as I can. The world of business is kind of the field that I've tried to focus on in my 20s, and it's kind of paid off, right? I surround myself with people who do the same, or people who at least have fairly decent jobs. Out of all of the friends that I have right now, the least successful friends that I have are at least looking for high-paying jobs right now, as graduates or dropouts. So I'm not really around people who are losing, or people who are doing even average. I'm around people who have good jobs in tech. I'm around people who have their own online businesses, who are resellers like I am, who do side hustles and a job, who are graduates, master's degree holders. I'm around, and I don't say this to brag, I don't say this to talk about how I'm amazing, because I don't think I am. But I say this as a reality. You're around all of these people who, some of them come from money, some of them are making money themselves. You think everyone's like rich. See, so I'm looking around thinking, I'm broke, right? I'm looking around thinking, I'm broke. This guy's richer than me. This guy's richer than me. This girl's richer than me. I'm like, I'm broke. Working in a shop for the first time ever was a real, not for the first time ever, because when I grew up, we were broke. We didn't have money when I was growing up. But working in a shop was the first time, I think, for an adult, or as an adult, that I realised most people don't have money at all. Most people in the world do not have money. Because again, just to quickly double down on the point, when you try and go to nice places as well, to network, to meet people, just to hang out with friends, right? Because you can, because you want to, and you see Ferraris parked up, and you kind of get this illusion that you are doing supremely badly, and everyone's killing it. Then you hear about people thinking that they're killing it, making £1,000 a month or less, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm not looking down on anybody, by the way. Everybody needs to get their own wins, but it taught me a lot about money. It taught me a lot about money. It really, really did. I did some number crunching on an average week on eBay of profit, not revenue. I'd have had to work 50 or 60, I think it was, hours a week to make the money that I made. And I might have worked 2 hours a day on eBay. So, real wake up call working in a job. And the point that I'm trying to make here is I didn't hate the job. For the first couple of months, I really hated the job. I really did. But towards the end of it, you start to make friends, you get connections, and especially when you can cut back your hours. Because most people, especially people who work essentially minimum wage or low skilled jobs, they're there for one of two reasons. Number one, because they're young, or number two, because they're broke. Basically, it's when you've not got much skills or opportunities. Because nobody wants to be a retail assistant forever. It's not sustainable for a lot of people either. So half of the people are kids, or at the very oldest, my age or a bit older, student age. And then the other half of people are 30s, 40s, but they're really feeling it. They're really feeling stressed, broke, all of these things. And school, and I know I'm talking about the job a lot, but that was a real opening experience that I've not spoken about enough here on the channel. School was a completely different experience to work. So was college. School and college, yeah. No, college and university, you may get some people in your class, you might be 16 and they might be 23. But there's still kind of a relatability there. When you're at work and you're 21 and you're working with a woman who's 45, it's like, and you're hearing her stories about life and how she hates this job and how she feels trapped. I'm like, I'm learning so much here. I'm learning about how most people live, and I'm also kind of reaffirming the importance of everything that I'm doing with business. Because we talk about the 9 to 5, and I'm seeing people who are going down this path or have been down this path for longer than I've been alive. Think about this as a reality, right? They've been a retail worker for longer than I've been alive. Because I'm 21, if someone's 45 and they genuinely have worked this job for X amount of years, they have been doing it for longer than I've been alive. And I know that's not that uncommon for people to have a career 20, 30, 50 years, but as someone who's 21, that seems crazy, right? And the dismay of them, it reminded me that everything that I'm doing with business is not an opinion, it's necessity, for me at least. It's a necessary evil, even if it comes with extra stress. Anyway, that's enough about the job. We'll speak about the next steps with that in a moment. But first, let's speak about the second big stress that I've had this week, which is probably the biggest one yet. Because say what you want about the job, it didn't make any money. Might have made like £1,000 a month at best. Maybe a bit more, maybe two. My eBay account, I got a message on New Year's Day, because I remember it, saying, you have a problem with your account. Great. We've been there before. If you guys remember the story, my first eBay account got banned. So when I hear this, or when I see this notification, I'm thinking it's more of the same. I was out at the time on New Year's Day, so I wasn't going to spoil it. I came home and I had a look. Fortunately, it wasn't that bad. It was no account bans, no issues like that. It was just a message saying, you've sold too much stuff, we need to convert you to a business account. Fairly easy, straightforward process. However, it did stress me out in the first steps. Turns out though, it wasn't as easy as it should have been, as I could not verify my bank details. Had to try it again and again and again, it wasn't working. Wait a day or two, because of course bank holidays, which for people watching abroad, I don't know if you know what that is, it's basically days when nothing's open. So I couldn't even contact eBay customer support. I had to wait until a couple days later. I got the first chance that I could, and then it was automatically approved. Completely fine. They just said you can only use one bank card so many times, but because we asked you to change details, we will waive it or something. It's completely fine. Got it in like that. So that is now fine. It was a big stress for the first couple of days. I had a few issues there, transferring everything over, but it's now done. That has been a process in itself because, like I say, I'm fine for savings now either way. Even if my eBay account got shut down, I would be upset, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. So it was what it was. Now it's approved, now we're good, and we're back to selling. The only thing that I'm noticing though is there are higher fees, much higher fees, for business sellers than there are for private sellers. So every sale that I make now is significantly less profitable. There may be a workaround to that. I only realised this last night that this was the case, but it's true. So that's a thing. That's a thing. It might cut my income a little bit, but we'll work something out. It's early days. At least I got to keep the account, right? Making 20% less is much better than making 100% less, i.e. having lost the account. So the account's got no issues with it, no problems at all. It was just a sort of teething issue, and now we're on a business account. That's good. I've also started a new business this past week. I've been really busy, right? I'm always busy at the minute. I've been busy since August. I'm trying to build a new life for myself. We'll get into that in a minute as well. I've started a new business, and I'm now reselling clothing. It's a business that I don't actually like. I'm going to explain why I'm still doing it. And I'm also going to explain why I don't like it. I'll do that first. The reason why I don't like a physical reselling business is because there is no flexibility. Dropshipping on eBay, let's say, easy, really easy. I can do it from home, I can do it from bed, I can do it from work, I can do it from a beach. It's fine. Reselling physically, I've got to go and source items, I've got to package them up, ship them off. And also, I would argue that scalability is a lot more limited, and also the business is a lot more capital intensive. So I'm reckoning that I'm going to spend about £100 on all of my initial stock. I think I've got about 7, maybe 8 items right now. And we've got some interest in them. I'm selling them on Vinted. So if you know what that is, if you don't, by the way, it's a clothing reselling platform. I'm selling a load of jackets. I bought a load of jackets for like £5 each. They might be worth £25, £30 each. Hopefully, we'll get them shifted. And the good news is, if I was able to sell maybe 2 or 3 of them, I've made a profit already. Or at least broken even. So out of the 7, 8 items that I've got now, and the 7, 8 that I might go pick up in an hour or so from a local shop, I'm fine. Or I should be fine. And worst comes to worst, you've only lost £100. You know, I've lost more than that in way weirder ways. So why would I start a business that I don't like the concept of? Well, there's a few reasons for it. Number one is diversification. I was reminded of something that I already knew when my eBay account got this notification. I was reminded of the fact that unfortunately at the minute my income is too reliant on one source. And the same's true for a lot of 9-to-5 workers, the same's true for me. It leaves you with a big vulnerability because, again, fortunately for me, just like my job, right? If I lost my job, I don't care. I've got other streams of income. My YouTube makes a bit, not that much. My eBay makes a lot, so I'm fine. On the other hand, if I lost both of those streams at the same time or similar times, we're looking at a lot more upsetting of a situation. And you don't want to ever be in that situation, especially not as an entrepreneur. So what I'm saying is, I need a few more businesses. YouTube is great, but YouTube, in my experience, it's the kind of thing that you build over a couple of years. You don't make a load of money on YouTube overnight in most cases. So that's fine. I'm expecting a long grind here, but we need more businesses. Amazon's great as well, but Amazon's a very, very competitive marketplace. And as much as I don't like physical reselling, there is one brilliant advantage, especially when it comes to reselling used stuff. It's a lot more rare. It's basically impossible to replicate because think about it, right? Let's say I'm trying to sell an Adidas hat. That's fine. There might be 100 other people with that Adidas hat. I've got a different size. I've got a different condition. I've got a different year. You know, all of these different factors can matter. So there are some advantages to it. And at the minute, right, for the next 2, 3, 4, 6 months, I'm basically staying put. 2025 is my grind year. So I do want to do a couple of travel adventures, travel holidays. That's fine. But in terms of moving abroad, it's not going to happen in 2025. I don't want it to. I don't need it to. Maybe 26, maybe not at all. I'm not going to say yet. But for 2025, I'm staying put and I'm making money. So I'm comfortable enough with the space investment, the time investment, the money investment. Let's just see what we can do with it. Maybe we'll not make anything. Maybe I'll have a new business. Who knows? Time will tell. So that's that. That's the Vinted business. And I guess that's all the stresses. Let's talk about what's coming next and also what's been going on elsewhere. So, actual inputs. I've been speaking for months now about the fact that I'm trying to work harder on a lot of different things. I'm working as hard as I could always work harder, so I'm not going to say that. I'm working relatively hard on eBay. You know, that's why I've been not really uploading that much. It's been a lot more challenging than you might think to source good reselling clothing products for my Vinted store. It takes more time than you'd think. But that's fine. But that has been taking up a while. I have been trying to list the odd thing on Amazon, but I think Amazon, it's not going to be the easiest platform to sell on. And I thought that the first time, but now it's fine. I can take Amazon a lot more casually because I've not got a subscription fee. For some reason, they signed me up for it initially. Now it's not there. That's fine. I can be a casual Amazon seller. Vinted, though, I'm going to try hard on, and YouTube I'm going to try hard on. So I'm doing both of those things now. I know I've had a few days off of YouTube. It's been busy in other regards, right? I've had to essentially come to terms with looking for new jobs, and I'm going to speak about that in a second, and all of the stresses with eBay and a few other factors. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm not trying to be rude, but YouTube has not been front of mind. It's always in the back of my mind, though. And I'm always going to carry on trying with it, but sometimes I am going to need time to focus on other things, other more profitable things. It's just the reality of it. Now, I want to speak about what comes next, because again, I've spoken about the past, I've spoken about how I've been working on things, and I want to speak about what comes next. I'm not feeling too stressed towards anything, but I feel like this is a fundamental mistake where most people create an area to fail. Because most people would look at my situation right now and say, well, you're comfortable, right? You don't need to look for a job. You don't need to pay any rent because it's covered. You've got your bills covered. You're fine. You can travel. You can do this. You've got a business. I am not going to do that. I've fallen for that trap before, and it is a trap. It's a trap of complacency. And the trap is this. The trap is the point where you think you're doing well, then something unexpected happens, or let's say you have savings and you burn through those savings to a point where it becomes a point of urgency. Then what do you have to do? You have to work on your businesses like your life depends on it. You have to work in a job that you don't like because you need to get money from somewhere. Not a good place to be in. So my thing is, if I start thinking about the next steps now and continuing with the same sense of urgency, nothing can go wrong. So I am going to start looking for a job straight away. I might have until the end of January off because I can. Not to sound privileged, I am privileged, but I earned my privilege through savings and through working that job in a way. But I could have January off because I can. And I think from there, especially, onto new things, onto new jobs. I don't need to work right now. I don't know if that's going to be a long-term thing, a long-term possibility. I don't claim any benefits or anything like that. I run my own businesses. I don't need to work right now. At the same time, most of my friends, and I do have quite a few friends, are either working themselves or either away out of the country, travelling, moved back home from university, maybe that's up north, maybe that's down south, to a point where I can't really travel there, or we can't hang out every day. The friends that I have at the minute, we can only hang out weekends or evenings. So what that means is, for the majority of the day, I am basically by myself. And especially on the evenings, especially in winter, I'm not going out. So weekends, maybe. Maybe Friday night, Saturday night, weekends, Saturday daytime, morning, whatever. Cool, we'll hang out. But that kind of gap, sorry to say it, guys, sorry to go back on something that I've said before, that gap of 9 to 5 is a time when no one's really around. And if you're anything like me, and you're a bit of a people person, or even if you're not necessarily the best social communicator, you like being around people, you like people's presence, you like meeting people, there's a big hole in your day there. And I'm not going to lie, I'm the kind of guy, I'm just going to say it, at this moment, for the past months, I'm the kind of guy who's comfortable working all day. And what I mean is, I can do a 6-hour, maybe even an 8-hour shift, come home and still run my businesses the same way. I could at the very least do a 4-hour shift. And some might say that's not enough. I don't need the money, I need the social skills. Not even the social skills. I want the socialization more than the money. The money's just an added bonus. And of course the money does help. It's not going to be a bad thing to have an extra £1,000 that can go in savings or investments, that's fine. But you get what I'm saying. So I'm going to need to get some kind of new job. It's going to have to happen. And I find that in itself funny because it's another way that working's changed me. I'm in an interesting phase of my life, I think, right now, where I'm in a gap between being able to meet people who have that much free time because they're that rich. And I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. But what I'm trying to say here is I've got a big gap where I don't see as many people as I'd like, and a job can solve that. As much as I can say bad things about the job that I worked at last, it was interesting. It did keep me busy for a couple of hours a day, and I was still able to do everything that I needed to do, and I was able to get extra money for it. So I can't necessarily complain. And I feel like I need some of that in my life again, even if I didn't like it so much. I feel like it's a challenge as well that makes you appreciate the good times. So I'm looking for another job soon. It's interesting to me because I didn't think I'd enjoy it. Or, at the very least, I didn't think I'd want to go for another job so soon, but I do. And I want to get more hours than my first job. I want to work 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week even. The good thing for me is that I won't be dependent on the job. It will be an extra. And the great thing that a lot of people don't understand about this, because they've never had the opportunity, unfortunately, to realise it for themselves, when you don't have to work a job, your attitude towards it is kind of different. And I don't mean that in the way that you don't care about it, you do your job in a bad way. I mean it in the way of, you can pick better jobs. You can wait longer for a company to get back. You can see different opportunities. You can leave if you want to or have to. I never left my last job, and I wasn't going to, even if I didn't like it. It's about the staying power. But what I'm saying is, I've got options now, but I am going to have to find another one, because I don't like sitting here by myself. And it's one of those ones where, especially if you can do both, I could have all the money in the world, but if I was poor in social connections or anything like that, I wouldn't feel rich. So it's about striking a good balance. And again, coming from the perspective that I am at now, I can still do 6 hours a day at work and 6 hours a day on my businesses, or more. So why not do both? If you can, why not really challenge yourself? And this is kind of my point for 2025, as well as hitting the gym hard, which I have been doing. This is not necessarily going to be my most fun year. The gaps of fun that I am going to have are going to be immensely fun. I've got foreign trips lined up and all sorts of good stuff. So I'm not going to say otherwise, but at the same time, my point is, this is not my year for fun. It's my year for improvement. It's my year where I'm going to take a year, do all the hard stuff, work, businesses, online, job, complaining, not being happy with it necessarily, but carrying on in the hopes of having a better life. And I don't care about anything to do with that. I don't care about the stresses with it. I don't care about the challenges. It's fine. And I'm willing to acknowledge that. I know it's only January, but bear in mind I've been doing this since August, and I feel great about it, actually. Do I feel more stressed? Some days, yes. Do I feel more challenged? Yes. But I think that's good. I feel like, as an adult, if you're not challenged by anything you weren't challenged by as a child, you're not living right. And I'm therefore very privileged to feel challenged by new things. So I'm not stressed out per se. I have stress, but I'm not stressed out. I'm looking forward to it, and there's new stuff to come, there's exciting stuff to come, and I'm on a journey, I'm on a big adventure here. But it's been a really eventful start to 2025. I don't care. I'm impressed, in my head at least, by the fact I was able to stay calm through it all, by the fact I'm able to, in some ways, be so resilient to all of these challenges. New job, that's going to be great, it's exciting, and every bad thing that happens, good, great. Because now I'm really mad. Now I'm really going to prove so wrong. Now I'm really going to take better opportunities. Now I'm really going to do this and that. Anyway, I feel like I've been speaking for too long here now, guys. But I'm really excited for this year. It's going to be good. And I'm excited to see what comes. Thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you soon. Goodbye.